It is finally time. Mei mains, it is finally time to rejoice and come out of the shadows and make people realize that Mei was always an S tier hero. Finally, the Mei buffs are live on PC, but more importantly on console. Well, actually, it's been live since Tuesday, but I've been so busy with the Retribution event, guys, that I've been covering mainly that because, well, that's the main centerpiece of Overwatch right now. But as some of you guys might have forgotten, with every single event usually comes with some hero changes. And of course, my lovely main Mei finally got her well-deserved buff after the longest time. If you guys don't remember what the buff is, pretty much when heroes are clumped together, multiple heroes can get frozen. I'm going to show right here with the bots, but it's only with the radius of like the cryo freeze or whatever, or freeze gun is. So this means it's going to be able to go through heroes and freeze multiple people. So that's a pretty big buff. Like, that's not something like with her ice cold block where it negates all of like the anti-heals and the Discord orb, even though that is a good buff. But the difference between this buff and that buff is that this buff makes people realize that she's a viable hero, that she can do a lot rather than just freeze people or just one single person. She can freeze multiple people. And that's why I'm making this video, because people are going to think that she's overpowered right after this buff, and other people are going to think that she is overpowered and not do that well, because I'm going to be right up front and say that Mei is not going to be taking over the meta. Mei is not going to be the #1 DPS hero, and Mei is not going to be taking Genji's spot or Tracer's spot anytime soon. But in the right hands, in my hands, and this is where I want to try to be as humble as possible, in my hands or in other Mei mains' hands that know how to properly use her, she's going to be an awesome pick now. Whenever people run into me in competitive, they know that I don't like to play Mei as a lot of people like to assume so. I try to play Mei as much as possible because, again, I can make her work, but I realize that she can easily be countered, and another thing is that she's really only good in certain situations and against very bad teams, not very bad teams, but just in very disorganized teams. Now, the situations that she's really good in is really defense maps and control maps. If we want to compare the Mei buffs to, say, like the Junkrat buffs flew Junkrat right into the meta because he could be used in any situation and nobody can do what he does better, which is just literally give off burst of damage and literally kill 200 HP heroes instantly like that. Now with Mei though, this is something that, well, first of all, it's going to be great against the dive comp as long as the Winston really isn't protecting the whole entire team, because a little known fact, a low-key counter to Mei is just to play Winston because he covers an area with his bubble and, well, the freeze gets negated that way. So either Mei has to freeze someone outside of the bubble or inside of the bubble, but most smart people try to go in and out of the bubble and in turn mean you can't get frozen. And this is the kind of balance buff that we need with heroes, because even though Mei is a lot more powerful, there's still answers to her. You can still counter her and still make her not work. But the fact that she's able to be a little bit more viable and freeze multiple people, do the only thing that she's known for other than just her wall, just makes her a lot more viable. And I keep saying that, a lot more viable, but that's what buffs are supposed to do. Either A, make them a lot more powerful, or B, allow people to realize, hey, this hero can do a lot. You know, that's the same with like Doomfist. That was the same with Bastion and Junkrat. You know, those two heroes, especially Bastion and Junkrat, were so underpowered that once they got the buff, even though it was a lot more than they needed, people realized the damage and the potential that they could do. Mei is in a spot right now, similar to like Sombra, where she's good. She really is. But first of all, it takes a special player, and second of all, it takes certain situations, and those situations can easily be covered by other heroes, like a McCree, or like a Soldier, or just someone else. So why I'm making this video is just to let everybody know that wants to play Mei, you can play Mei, but realize the counters are still there. And for anyone that doesn't think that Mei isn't a powerful hero, give it a chance, because she can do a lot of damage. She can stop a lot of 200 HP heroes, and that is so crucial in a game like Overwatch, where if you get one pick, you should be able to move forward. So those are just my main thoughts, but my final thoughts on the Mei buff is that I'm happy that they came out, but trying to be as humbling as possible, I would have made Mei work either way, right? Like, I still would have killed a bunch of people. I still would have had this positive win ratio with her. It's just the psychological factor that came with it. It's just people realizing, hey, this hero is now a lot more powerful. Let's accept it into this team comp. That's why I appreciate this buff so much. It's not the fact that she can freeze multiple people. Like, yeah, that's a factor. That's great. But really, like, I'm just glad people are accepting it more in their team comps. That being said, though, So she's not going to be replacing the DPS spot with every single game that you have. It's like how Junkrat, you know, everyone needed it in that DPS spot. No one really needs a Mei in every single spot. So that's why I'm not jumping up for joy like, yes, Mei's finally here. She's finally buffed. She's going to be the #1 DPS, because it's not going to be like that. But it's just that psychological factor that I'm just happy about. So yes, I am happy about the Mei buff. I'm happy that she's going to be more appreciated because she needs to be loved, she needs to be protected, and she needs to be cherished. And I think finally Blizzard is starting to realize that. And with this buff, it just comes for new possibilities. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the Mei buff. Do you think she's overpowered, or do you think she's finally viable? And that's the key word right there. Viable. Viable, viable, viable. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.